Hey there, everybody. This is Beyond the Beach, career conversations with graduates of Cal State Long Beach. I'm your host, Kenji Klein, Associate Professor of Management at the College of Business at California State University, Long Beach, where I teach business strategy, general management, and organization theory. In this show, I interview former students and recent graduates about life after Long Beach. Our conversations cover topics like how my guests chose a career path, how they landed their first job, and what it's been like to navigate the challenges and opportunities of their early careers. My hope is that you will find their experiences useful and inspiring in helping you chart your path beyond the beach. My guest today is Racquel Davidson. Racquel was a student in my business strategy class back in 2017 and now works in residential real estate. So it's really nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So let's dive in. I guess I just wanted to start with if you could briefly introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, when you graduated, what you studied when you were here, and then what you're doing now.
Yeah. So like you said, my name's Racquel Davidson, and I was a student at Cal State Long Beach in 2016 and 2017. I got my degree in business with an option in finance, and I'm now a real estate agent in Orange County in Long Beach, doing residential sales for renters, buyers, and sellers.
Okay. So again, when you say residential sales, and you're talking about being a real estate agent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
you typically represent one side or the other, or any side?
I represent everybody. So
Okay.
I'm not a buyer's agent or strictly a listing agent. I am helping, like I said, renters, buyers, and sellers. So if you need to sell your home, I can help you. If you need to secure a lease, I can help you. Purchase your first home, all that.
All that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said, oops,
You're fine.
that was my phone. Shame on me, right? So you studied with an option in finance.
Yes.
So why did you pick finance?
I knew I wanted to do business, and part of me really felt like I wanted to do management because I felt that was what I was most interested in.
Okay.
But my grandfather I think he worked or owned a bank and was always teaching me about finance and bought me stocks at a young age. Like every birthday,
okay.
a card would say, I got you shares in this. And so I think I chose that route because I wanted to learn a little bit more about it and see if I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Right.
And I would say it wasn't my thing.
Okay.
I persevered, finished it all. I'm glad that I did it, but it was definitely more challenging. I think management came to me a little bit more naturally, but yes, that's why I chose finance.
So what you're saying, what I'm actually hearing is I'm more of a people person than a numbers and money person.
1,000%.
Okay. Okay. So it wasn't like you were always like a numbers person and that's why you went towards finance.
No, it was forced.
Okay.
I'm glad I did it. I learned a ton. I'm
Right.
better for it, but I'm definitely more of a people person.
Do you use much of it at all in what you're currently doing?
I think real estate covers it all. So I'm definitely talking about numbers all the time, talking about people's financials.
Right.
Most of that's done by their lender if they're getting a loan. But when I'm writing contracts, we're looking at numbers and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I use what I learned most of the time.
Right. Because with real estate, it's pretty much straight, like, I guess, net present value and amortization is basically
Yes.
all it is. It's like
Yes.
those 5 numbers, you plug them into the computer or the calculator even. And
Exactly.
Okay. So how did you get into real estate and why real estate?
Yeah, so when I was at Orange Coast College for my first 2 years of college, I was working multiple jobs, but one of them was for a local builder in Newport Beach.
Right.
It was my friend's parents' company, and they were looking for an administrative assistant.
Okay.
So I was there 3 days a week, like 8 to 5, basically running their books and doing construction cost breakdowns, lots of boring paperwork and filing. And I think he had brought it up to me about real estate. He said, if I paid for you to get your license and do the classes, you could eventually list our homes for sale. And he was building luxury homes in Newport Beach.
Oh, okay.
So I think I was 21 at the time. And I said, well, if you're going to pay for it, sure.
Right.
So I think the summer before I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, I took my real estate exam. I did all my courses, then took the exam and passed. So I had my license, and I didn't hang it with a brokerage, which is what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Because I was waiting for the builder to
Right.
guide me
Right.
and tell me what to do next. And it kind of kept getting pushed on the back burner. He had a lot going on. It just wasn't the priority at the time.
Right.
So eventually, I was like, I'm just going to hang my license somewhere local, and then we'll figure out the rest later. And my mom knew someone at First Team Newport Beach. She used to work at the grocery store with the manager there. So I just decided to interview there randomly.
Okay.
And ended up hanging my license at First Team and did my first year there. So I had transferred to Cal State Long Beach, just started there, and was still working for the builder.
Okay.
So that's kind of when I got started and how it happened.
So you were still working for the builder, and then you had hung your license. I guess that's the language, right?
Yeah.
So you were basically
Joined First Team.
You were one of the agents at that brokerage
Under their umbrella.
Under their umbrella, and you were here finishing your last couple years of school.
Yeah, full time.
Okay.
And I think I was also teaching dance at the time.
Oh wow.
And I think working at P.F. Chang's.
Okay. Okay. So
I had
you
lots of hats.
Pretty busy life. Wow.
Yes.
And if I understand it correctly, getting a realtor's license requires basically 3 classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a principal's class. There's a, I don't know what it's called, but there's another.
Yeah, the principal's class is the required one, and then there's 2 others that you can do. I think I chose law and practice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there's it's 3 classes.
Mm-hmm.
You can do them at like a JC or even online, and then you stand for the exam, right?
Yes. So most people nowadays do it online.
Okay.
I took my principal's class in person, ironically at First Team, Newport Beach.
Okay.
Because that's what the builder told me to do, my boss.
Okay.
He said it was great. I think it was Mondays and Wednesdays, 6 to 10 p.m.
Right.
So I would go in and take that class physically, and then I did the other 2 online.
Right.
And then you basically take courses throughout the class, and at the end they give you a certificate.
Right.
And then once you have all 3 certificates, you can sign up for the DRE exam.
And then you take the exam, and you get the exam, and then you get your license, and then.
And the exam is, I think you have to get more than 70% to pass.
Right.
And then they give you your results right away. They hand you a piece of paper and send you out the door.
So you had the license.
Yeah.
You were coming to school here. You had part-time jobs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, were you actually doing much in real estate while you were a student here?
Not necessarily. I think I would go to the meetings, like the office meetings once a week or biweekly, and then I would try to do things on the weekends.
Okay.
I wasn't actively showing clients. I didn't have any clients at the time. I was just kind of getting started. So I'd say I did 6 months of nothing.
Okay.
And then the second 6 months, I started to shadow people doing open houses on the weekends.
Right.
And then in that last portion of the year, I had 3 sales. I believe it was 3 or 2. And those came from, one of them was a student at Orange Coast College who remembered that I was thinking of getting my license.
Okay. Huh.
So that was cool. And then a family friend let me list their home.
Okay.
Didn't let me. They hired me
hired you
after I interviewed.
Yeah.
So I had 2 sales towards the end of the year, and I think I was here during that time. So that was exciting and gave me a little taste of it, but I wasn't doing much other than that on the weekends.
All right. And then at that, so let's say, so you were in my class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the last semester you were here.
I believe so.
Right, because it's capstone class. At that point in time, did you think, when I graduate, I'm going to do real estate and that's what I'm going to do? Or were you just like, I've got this real estate thing on the side, but I really am thinking I'm going to do something else?
I was really up in the air. I think when I was getting ready to graduate, I had those 2 sales, and they came really close together.
Okay.
And to me, they felt like really big checks. I mean,
Right.
they were big checks. And I was getting a lot of attention in the office because I was new.
Right.
Not 2 sales is like not the biggest deal, but
Right.
I had a lot of great feedback, and I was looking at transitioning to a new brokerage, and 2 different people wanted me on their team, and so I felt like I really wanted to entertain real estate.
Right.
But that quickly changed. I think right after I graduated,
Okay.
I joined. I did a partnership with someone in my office, and we switched to a brokerage called Compass, which is where I'm at now.
Okay.
And that year did not go well.
Okay.
It was brutal.
All
So
and
I think
at that point, you had graduated at that
I
point.
had graduated,
Okay.
and it was not going well. And then I thought, oh no, should I look into getting a finance job and using my degree
Right.
because this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
So tell me about that first year. Like, tell me what that was like. What were those moments when you were like questioning your decision? How did it turn around? All of that stuff.
So it was my second year in real estate, first year out of college.
Right.
I suddenly had a lot more free time. So I went from having all these jobs and classes to only doing real estate and working for the builder.
Okay.
So I worked 3 days a week, 8 to 5 in that office for him just to supplement my income.
Right.
And then
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't do this, but
You're fine.
I'm just curious. So did the builder ever come through with?
No.
Okay.
He did
Had a
not.
feeling, right.
He did not. And years down the line, I went because I worked for him while I was doing real estate for
Right.
quite some time. I did try to sit him down and ask for an opportunity, and it just kind of never came together. But he has really nice luxury high-end homes,
Right.
and I just felt like if it's meant to be, it's meant
Yeah.
to be. So I did just sell his daughter's home, so that was
Okay.
cool. But yeah, no, it didn't come to fruition, but I'm still very grateful that
Right.
he pointed me in this direction. But
Well, and then you never know what the future's going to hold, right?
Exactly.
You know, maybe he's just like, these are like super fancy homes, so maybe I need to have somebody who's got a
exactly,
little bit more experience.
he wanted to
or
make
whatever.
sure that he had
Got it.
someone on his side that knew how to negotiate, and yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so I interrupted you. Okay,
You're fine.
but sorry. So, so anyway, so you were working for the builder,
Yeah.
and I wanted you to talk me through
Yes.
that first difficult year.
Yeah, so for my first year of real estate while I was in school, I was on my own as an agent, and the second year I transitioned to a new brokerage called Compass, as I said, and I joined forces with someone named Mark Aben, and we were a duo. We were business partners
Okay.
doing it together.
Right.
I had more time on my hands,
Right.
so it was super weird going from a very structured, busy lifestyle to having all this free time, and you're running your own business,
Right.
and you're your own boss.
Right.
So no one was telling me what to do, and I had a partner, but we just weren't very consistent. Like some days we would try to go out and prospect, door knock,
Right.
do all the things that you're supposed to do, but
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, that's one of the things I'm wondering. It's like, you know, if you're working for a company and this is your job, and so you go in and this is what you do every day, and you kind of know what to do every day, right? But so in real estate, it's like if you're doing that full time, it's like if you don't have a showing or if you don't have a property that whatever it is, like how do you fill that time?
yeah, that was the biggest struggle for me, and it caused a lot of issues with my partner and I because I really needed that. I'm very type A. I needed that structure, and
Okay.
he was more go with the flow,
Right.
and I was frustrated with the inconsistency, but I wasn't delivering. So we would try to create as much structure as we could. We would do like monthly newsletters to go out to our sphere, which is your client database. We would do open houses every weekend to try to meet new people, but I wasn't really. I was going to these open houses and trying to meet people, but I didn't have a strategy in place.
Okay.
So then no one would return my calls afterwards. So it was just a struggle trying to build my clientele, build my sphere,
Right.
and really take off. So I'd say that second year, I think it was 2018, I only did 2 sales.
Oh, wow.
And one was a listing I got in February, and it didn't sell till June.
Wow.
So I listed it in February thinking I'm going to get paid soon. Didn't
Right.
get paid till June. And then I think I had a sale in December.
Okay.
So it was the worst year ever. And I
Right.
think I had just gotten an apartment of my own
Right.
in Costa Mesa. I left my roommates behind, thought
Okay.
it
Right.
just wasn't going
Right, because
well.
you had that 2 sales, the other two
two
sales.
sa-
that
yeah,
had
I
been
thought I
really,
was doing great.
Right, so you figured you could afford it, and then it was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to go
Yeah.
another year before I got 2 more.
Yes. And again, I was still working for the builder, so I
Right.
had money coming in,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't enough for life. Like, it covered my rent and most of my bills, but it was just a really tough year. So,
And when you say, I mean, you said you didn't have a strategy.
right.
And then you also said, you formed this partnership. Mm-hmm. Had your partner been in real estate for a long time?
He had
Okay.
never, he'd always been in assistant positions or partnering with other people, and he knew the processes and systems so well. I learned so much from him.
Okay.
He had all these amazing templates that I could use.
Right.
It was such a good way to get started, but
Okay.
I think that we just operate differently, and the motivation wasn't there. Again, like on a Monday, we'd go door knock, and then if like nothing happened or we didn't meet anybody for 2 hours, we'd be like, let's just get lunch and call it a day.
Right.
Then the next day, we wouldn't go into the office. So it was just the inconsistency was crazy.
Yeah.
But
well, and I'm imagining, right? When I think about the way motivation works, right? It's really hard to stay motivated when you're not getting any kind of positive reinforcement.
Yes.
So it's like, can you go day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month after month, knocking on doors like 6 hours a day without hooking anything and stay motivated to do that? And I'm imagining that's really hard.
Yeah, the open houses were so tough too, because every weekend I would promote myself to the office and say, if you have an open house and you need it to be hosted, like I'll do it. I'm your girl.
Right.
So I'm in my early 20s, not enjoying my weekends or doing anything with my friends. I'm doing these open houses, and like half the time either no one shows up or it's really busy. But how do you secure these people's contact information?
Right.
And how do you then get them to work with you after you've met them in that small moment? So,
and in that situation, you were trying to become their buyer's agent? Is that what it was?
Yeah, so if they walk into an open house and they don't have representation, but they are looking to purchase, if you can connect with them, then they'll likely work with you for the rest of their search.
Right.
And I've met plenty of people at open houses, and they've become clients, and I've closed sales from that. But in the beginning, when you everyone knows that you're new.
Right.
It's very clear.
Okay.
And I was 22, 21.
Right.
So it took a long time for me to figure things out. Yes.
How'd you stay motivated?
In that time or now?
Yeah. In that time, in that really difficult time, right? It's like that challenge, like how do you manage that?
I just kept showing up and trying to do as much activities as I could. To not be anxious. So I would, again, sign up for open houses every weekend, even though they didn't always work out or I didn't meet people or get contacts. I just kept showing up. Right. I was really active in the office. I would go to all the meetings, all the happy hours, connect and network with all the agents. And then at that time, I was really focused on that newsletter going out every month, whatever way I could do, put structure into my day.
Right.
I did. It was super mentally challenging.
Right.
I don't want to go back to that time.
Yeah.
But it was, activity kept me motivated. I was like, something's going to work out. I just got to get past this year.
In doing all of that stuff, even though you weren't getting sales, right, were you building skill sets that you now are using? Or was it really just like, you didn't really get much out of it, and it was just the way it was?
I think I was. I was, like every time I held an open house, I was learning about the neighborhood I was in at the time, learning about the models and the floor plans.
Right.
I was getting better with my people skills, getting to talk to strangers for 3 hours.
Right.
What else? I think using that now, if I'm having a slow period now, I kind of go back to that. I'm like, just what can I do to stay busy, keep my mind motivated, keep my foot on the gas pedal, and like the deals will come.
Right.
So I would say.
Okay. So you had said that there was this like thing in the back of your mind, right, that was going, oh, maybe I should go back. I should use my degree and do something in finance. So what was going on with that, and then where did that go, or what happened with that?
It's very layered, but I obviously wasn't doing the best that year and was really frustrated with the lack of success. And then my boyfriend at the time was looking to go back to school for his PhD and was talking about potentially moving. And then I was thinking about if I was to maybe follow him and move with him. Do I restart my business? Do I get this job? I just was all over the place, and so I started.
And of course, restarting in real estate means you have to relearn the neighborhoods and all of that stuff again.
And I was like, there's no way I can do that. I should just get a regular job. My life would be so much easier. You're 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then you clock out and you go home and your mind shuts off. Like, I just craved that structure and the paycheck. But it quickly died because I think at the end of 2018, I got a sale.
Okay.
And then the beginning of 2019 was going pretty well.
Okay.
And I think I totally forgot about that. I stopped entertaining it. And I don't think my boyfriend went to school that year. I think he tabled it because he wasn't happy with where he got in. So I kind of tabled it as well. And I was like, I'll just see how this goes. But
so enough came in, real estate-wise, that you were like, okay, maybe it's going to work.
Maybe I'm going to be okay. Yeah.
Maybe you're going to be okay.
But it was a good, 3 months of me, having coffee with people, asking if I should quit the business. Right. What did they do with their business finance degree? Yeah. Just trying to figure out what my options were. I was, online looking at jobs. So
you did a lot of that.
I did a lot of thinking, but...
So was it just that you were doing that research, but you didn't take the next step of trying to apply for a job?
Correct.
Or was it you tried but nothing showed up, so you just, the real estate
I didn't
first?
even try.
You didn't even try. Okay.
I think I spruced up my resume and then never
never
did anything past that.
Interesting. So there's something about the real estate thing. I mean, I guess one of the questions is, that I have is, was it because there was something about real estate that even though it wasn't working out, you still were interested in and you enjoyed? Or was it more like, we have this idea of the sunk cost fallacy, right? So it's like, I've just put so much time into this, so I just got to keep going because otherwise I've wasted that time, which is economically not a good way to make decisions, but this is one of the things we do.
I think that I was just so frustrated that I wasn't doing well, and that's really hard for me.
Right.
I've never really experienced that. I loved the job and I loved what I was doing, and I could see myself doing this for a long time.
Right.
In those little blips when I had a client and we went through escrow and I went through the whole process and did the key exchange, I loved it. I loved every second. I felt that I was good at it. Yeah. I just couldn't handle the ups and downs of the business. Right. So I think that threw me for a loop and made me reconsider. But I think I just had to get through that rough patch mentally. Yeah. And focus on just keep doing the work and the success will come.
Okay. And so how did it turn around and when did it turn around?
Yeah, so
and then what was that like, and what have you built on, what have you learned and all those things?
So that business partner of mine, Mark, we decided to part ways in April 2019, I believe. And it was his choice, which kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting it. Right. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Okay. So right after he decided to part ways, I went and talked to my managing broker, which they're the person that runs the office. Right. They said that I could be an independent agent or a principal agent. Okay. So that was an option, or I could join a team. And I was looking back on my last year with all my lack of structure and chaos and motivation. And I thought that it would probably be best to join a team and surround myself with others, just to kind of keep me motivated and accountable. Yeah. So I interviewed with multiple agents. None of them are really feeling like the right fit. And then I held an open house for someone in the office. Her name's Annie Clordy. And she approached me and asked if I was looking to join a team because she was starting to build a team. She only had one person. And I think I had just committed to someone else, but we hadn't signed anything yet. Right. Long story short, that fell apart, and I ended up working with Annie Clordy and joining her team. I'm still on her team to this day. Okay. So I think it's been, 4 years or so. Yeah. So I would say my business started taking off that year. And
what does it mean in real estate to be a team?
Yeah. So it's different depending on the team that you're on and how they set it up. But basically, I am my own independent agent underneath this person's team name. Okay. So that if you're at a brokerage by yourself, the brokerage determines your split. But if you're on a team, your split is determined by your team lead. Okay. And they get a portion of your sales. Okay. So your brokerage gets a portion of your sales and your team lead.
Okay. So hopefully I'll remember everything we've been, but a bunch of questions about this, right? In terms of the way compensation works in real estate, right? So, you sell a home, right? Or you help a buyer get a home, and then that costs a certain amount. And then the seller's agent and the buyer's agent each get a percentage of the cost of the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then so then if you were the buyer's agent, what's that percentage? Is it 4, 5?
It's not set, so the seller determines that. So if you own a home and you were to go sell it tomorrow, currently, you would sign a listing agreement with your agent, and you would tell them what you want the commission to be. So there's no standard, but what we see most of the time is 5%, with 2.5% going to both agents.
Okay.
But it's all negotiable, so you could offer 1%, 6%.
Right.
But yes, 2.5% to both sides is a good
frequently,
example.
Frequently it's like the seller's agent will negotiate with the seller for a 5% total.
Yes.
And then that 5% typically gets split 50-50 between the seller and the buyer.
Yes.
Now, so that's 2.5% for the buyer's agent. But you're saying, so with the brokerage though, this money from that 2.5%, a certain portion of that goes to the brokerage.
Yes.
And you're saying the brokerage basically, when you're independent, the brokerage says, here's how we're dividing that 2.5%.
Correct.
The brokerage is getting this much and the rest is for you.
Yes.
But on a team, I'm assuming that the team has negotiated some split of that 2.5% already with the brokerage, no?
So, yes, my team lead, Annie, is a principal agent with Compass. So she has her split with Compass based on her sales.
Okay.
So everyone on her team gets her split. We all get her split.
So she has negotiated something with the brokerage, Compass.
Correct.
And then that is something that you benefit from in a sense, because I'm assuming she's more senior, she knows what she's doing, she could probably negotiate.
She has a better split with Compass than I would on my own. However, Annie then takes a portion of my commission.
Right.
And every team is different.
Right.
So when I was interviewing, some people said 70-30 split. We'll take 30%, you keep 70%.
Right.
And that 70-30 is on top of what Compass already takes. Your check dwindles. So when I was interviewing, I was trying to find a team that I felt was going to be fair with the split, so that it made sense for me to go on a team instead of going on my own. I didn't want to give too much of my paycheck away.
Right.
And then I wanted someone that would let me continue to build my own brand instead of just building the team brand. And Annie...
So it's really complicated.
It is.
It's really, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things you have to think through when you're a real estate agent. I had no idea. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And then I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
You were saying something about Annie.
The reason I went with Annie was she had been in my position at my age long ago, and she was not given the freedom to do her own branding or work her own deals. It was all about the team, so she didn't want to structure it that way. So I loved that she gave me a little bit more freedom.
Okay.
Hence also why I've been here so long is I'm very happy and content, and it doesn't make sense for me to leave the team. Right. So she lets me do my own branding. I have an Instagram page and a website, and I have my own logo. It's because I call myself Sell with Racquel.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
And so she lets me do that instead of having the AC team logo, which is our team name. So it's cool that she's a little bit more flexible. Other teams, they can be very strict. They'll take a lot more of your commission. They'll only let you host open houses for their listings. And she gives us more freedom.
So this is interesting to me because I'm imagining, it's like if you have a team where they're not letting you develop your own brand, right? In a sense, what they're doing is they're trying to lock you in. Right, because if you have your own brand, you could go off.
Exactly.
Right, but then when you treat somebody that way, they want to go off.
Exactly.
Right, and so maybe they're losing people, and then they're thinking, "Oh, we need to hold on tighter."
Yes.
Right, and then it sounds like Annie is smarter. She's like, you give people a good context, a good situation, and they'll actually stay with you. You give them freedom, and they will stay with you. Right.
That's exactly.
That's like I have the freedom, but I don't need to exercise it.
Yes.
Because I'm well treated here, so it's.
That's exactly how I feel.
And I was interesting.
The second team member to join, and I think we have 6 or 7 now, and an operations assistant manager.
Oh, right, because she was just starting it when she had just had one other person.
She had one agent, so I was the second, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 3 other girls, and then
Okay.
we hired someone to be our like team assistant operations manager.
Okay. So when you're working with a team, then, and again, I'm imagining then, I can't ask a general when you're working with a team, is it like this? Because it sounds like it's different depending on the team. But you have a situation where the team has its own brand. You're developing your own, right? So do you do, like when you're doing stuff, you have both logos, or how do you, are you only sort of promoting your own brand, or do you do joint stuff on behalf of the team?
I would say I'm primarily promoting my own brand
Okay.
because the relationships that I have with my clients are with me. They haven't
Okay.
normally they haven't met my team.
Right.
So to me, it doesn't make sense to promote
Right. Okay.
the team most of the time. So, but what I do say to most of my clients is I am on a team. I have all of the support. So if I'm not available, you're always going to be taken care of.
Okay.
That's what I like to promote. But
Right.
I really try to do my own logo and
Right.
my own information and a little bit more independent.
Okay. And so I guess because the question that I think that was under the question I asked is this thing. It's like, what's the value that a team brings aside from you've got that relationship, the negotiation with the brokerage in terms of what your pay cut is of the amount. What else does being in a team bring?
It brings a lot. So the thing that I find the most valuable is that I can call Annie at any time with questions. And you can always call your managing broker in an office, but they're not as available and they're not as connected to you. So if I'm having a deal fall apart, and every deal's so different. So even 7 years into the business, I'm running into new issues all the time.
Okay.
She's been in the business 20 plus years. So I call her often, and she helps me with making sure my contracts are written perfectly, verbiage being done the right way, the best way to handle a client in a sticky situation. Whatever I need, she answers. She's so responsive. Not every team lead's like that, but that's how she is.
Another reason you're still there.
Yes. And then when you're on a team, you can promote the team sales, which is super helpful when you're getting started. So
because you could say, we've sold this many houses, or we've sold this much, and blah, blah, blah.
So
blah.
when I'm putting out my stats, I can use the team stats, and it just shows that I've done more business than just myself personally. So that's always great. And then just team branding. Annie's a big name in the community, so if I say I'm on her team, it's usually helpful. So I just requested a showing with someone yesterday, and I know that Annie's worked with him often, so I made sure to say that I was on her team.
Right. Interesting. So finding a good team to be on can be really important, especially when you're newer or
I didn't want to be on a team in the beginning. I did that first year solo, and then just did that partnership. I was so adamant about doing it on my own.
What was that about?
I don't know. I think I didn't. I don't think I had met anybody I was excited to work with at that time, and I really wanted to build, again, my own brand. And when there are teams that you're not allowed to put your name on your contract.
I see.
Like, they take all the credit. Like, so there'd be no sales on my record if everything's going to the team lead. And yeah, so I really wanted to...
when you first got in, you didn't actually know what the options were in terms of teams, and you had seen this one model and thought, that's not for me.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to see if I could do it first, and I loved the marketing aspect. I wanted to see, like, promoting myself instead of just joining a team and promoting them. But as I interviewed with people down the line, I realized everyone's so different, and I loved Annie's approach, so she changed my mind.
A lot of what we've talked about, though, is the quality of the relationship that you have. The value of being on a team is about the quality of the relationship you have with the team lead. What type of interaction or support or mutual, like helping out and stuff, do you have with the other members of the team? Or is it really mostly about the relationship with the lead?
I'm lucky. I'm very close with the majority of the girls on the team, or all of the girls. We talk all the time. We have a really good culture. We just had a team dinner last month, and I adore every single one of them. So we call each other often to help each other out when Annie's got a lot going on. She's obviously managing the team and then has all of her own sales. So sometimes we just call each other to help each other out. So yeah, I'd say that just more people to lean on. This business is so lonely and so crazy. Yeah.
Interesting. And it's not like you're going into an office and working with people all the time. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
can.
okay.
So there is a physical office, and
Okay.
we have like our own space within the Compass office. Ours is located in Newport Beach.
Okay.
So we go in for team meetings every other Tuesday. I'll go in for that meeting, and then I'll work there afterwards.
Right.
Most of the time, I work from home.
Right.
That's not for everyone. I know plenty of agents that go to the office every single day.
Oh, wow.
But I just don't get a lot done. I'm such a people person and so chatty that I
Right.
end up talking to the agents all day
Right.
and all the employees and the office administrator,
Right.
and I just accomplish nothing. And also, I live in Long Beach now.
Right. So it's
We have a Compass Long Beach office, so I've been trying to like go there and maybe work there occasionally, but nothing's better than my home office.
okay. You get work done at home. Okay. So how's it going now? How is the work going? And, what were the main like learning points and stuff to get you where you're at and
Yeah.
all of those things?
It's going great.
Okay.
Once I joined Annie's team, I don't know what, I just had a new sense of motivation. She gave me quite a few opportunities in the beginning. Like she put me on a listing with her,
Right.
and I think she gave me a buyer lead, which means she already had a client and handed them to me, and we
Okay.
split it 50-50. So she gave me a few things that kind of helped me get the ball rolling. But then I was, I think, on my third year of real estate. So all of the work I had put in the past
Right.
couple of years were starting to come to fruition. So I had a lot of people calling me from like open houses years ago.
Oh, okay.
So that was amazing. And it was starting to click to me
Right.
that it's all about building that momentum and building your brand. And eventually
Right.
people will recognize you as a real estate agent, but it just takes a really long time to get there
Right.
and build that foundation. So I'd say around year 3 or 4, I started to get a lot more organic business. I didn't have to fight for it as much.
Right.
But I was still grinding. I was still going to the open houses every weekend and trying to build more and more connections,
Yeah.
and put myself in front of as many people as possible. So I think in 2020, it started to really take off for me. I had, I think, 5 sales that year,
Okay.
maybe. And then in 2021, I think I doubled my business and did 11.
Okay.
And then in 2022, I think I did 13 or 14.
Okay.
And I'm hopefully on track. I think I've done 11 this year.
Okay.
So it's been a lot more consistent,
Right.
and just a lot more pleasant.
Uh-huh.
I'm at a point now where I am not wondering where the next sale is going to come from.
Right.
I keep putting in the effort, meeting people, doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm continually having business. I'm
Okay.
not letting myself get into the headspace that I was in.
Right.
So I don't have to do as many open houses and as much door knocking or prospecting because I have a good flow of business
Right.
from just over the years meeting everyone. So I don't know if I explained that well, but
Yeah, no, that's great. That's so interesting. It's interesting though because you're giving me numbers like it's like 11 or 12, right?
yeah, and those are units. So I'm not even talking sales volume, which is what a lot of people use in real estate.
So what's the difference in units and sales volume?
Units are like the amount of transactions I've done in a
Okay.
year, and
Okay.
sales volume is the amount
The amount of the
sales.
house, like if you add up
Yeah.
the cost of the homes.
Yeah, so a
Yeah.
lot of people like to talk sales volume in real
Right.
estate, especially in Newport and Orange
Sure.
County where I'm focusing because the houses
houses
are
are
very
expensive.
expensive.
Yep.
I work with primarily first-time home buyers,
Right.
so my sales volume is never as big
Right.
as those in my office, but I
Right.
do a lot more units.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, I'm dealing with a lot more people. I'm doing a lot more transactions. So
Right.
I'm even if my sales volume's not that high, I'm still very proud that I'm doing that number
Right.
of transactions.
The reason I ask is it's interesting, right? Because if you say 12,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm thinking so on average that's like one a month.
On average, yes.
On average,
Yeah.
one a month, right? So that means that some months there's nothing happening, and some months you're getting more than one, right?
Yeah, I would say I've had months with nothing, like no closings or
Right,
no
closings.
pending
Yeah.
escrows, and then a different month I'll have 3.
Yeah. And so, I think you have to have a certain tolerance for uncertainty
Yes.
in that kind of situation. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I never thought that I would be comfortable with this in a million years.
But it's okay.
It's been okay. Yeah.
So basically you have enough momentum now that you're confident that you do the work and it's going to come through.
Yes.
There may be some dry spells, but averaging over time, it all works out.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have a sense for whether or not it's typical for someone getting in that it just takes a few years for them to sort of get their stride, and then once they get their stride, assuming they're doing the right things, it works out for them? Or do you think, you've just been really fortunate because you found the right team? Or I'm just kind of get a sense, because if somebody's listening and they're thinking about real estate, right? Like how much can they generalize off of your experience versus what you think is actually most likely to be the average experience that someone's going to have?
Right.
Could you give some insight on that?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. I probably had a slower start than most because I was working part-time, and they never recommend that you do that.
Okay.
You can't build your business and be all in if you're working another job, which was true. I was working for that builder, so if I had a showing request or a client that wanted to see something, I'd have to say, well, I'm at the office 8 to 5, and then I can meet you.
Right.
So that wasn't ideal, and I wasn't supposed to be communicating with them while I was at work. But I think it's interesting that right when my business took off is when I quit.
Right.
I forgot to mention this, but I transitioned from working from the builder to assisting Annie part-time.
Okay.
To supplement. She paid me the exact amount that I was making for the builder.
Right.
Just to help her out.
Okay.
With admin stuff, which kind of got me in full-time real estate mode, even though it was a lot of her stuff too. And I only did that for a year, and then she told me that I needed to spread my wings and fly, and I was terrified. And as soon as she told me that I needed to stop being her assistant, my career took off.
Okay.
So full-time is probably the best way to do it, but it's not that easy for everybody.
Sure.
I think those who start full-time and have a good amount of savings in the bank, they probably find success more quickly.
Okay.
I have a friend right now that just started, and she's doing incredible.
Okay.
And she's just really thrown herself into it.
Right.
But she just messaged me that she's starting to feel slow and nothing seems to be working, and she's putting in all this effort, and no one wants to work with her. And she's going through those same mental struggles that I was going through. So I think that you just kind of have to get through those first few years.
Right.
It might be really fruitful, and you'll do a ton of sales for a period of time, and then it might be really slow. You just kind of have to get through it, because I think that once you build that brand, people will start reaching out organically.
So what does it take, like, to be good at this, right? What do you have to be able to do? What do you got to do well? And what are the kinds of things that you have to learn to do well?
I think that you have to be good with people.
Okay.
You're spending a lot of time with strangers that become friends.
Right.
In a very stressful transaction process or moment for them.
Okay.
So you might be dealing with couples that are like fighting in front of you and going through some big emotional moments, and you're trying to navigate them and guide them. So you're a little bit of a therapist. You want to be good with people.
Right. Okay.
I think that
so that's like one partner wants this and the other wants that, or one partner thinks it's way too much and the other partner thinks no, this is what we got to pay, or it's like this is too far from my school, my work, or
it's so tricky with couples or two people purchasing together because there's two different sets of opinions.
Right.
So just trying to figure out how to help them reach that decision.
Okay.
You have to have a really good work ethic to be in this job. The hardest part for me is balancing my time off.
Right.
Because when an opportunity presents itself, you want to take it because you don't know when the next one's going to come, but then that impedes on your personal life. So I've done a lot of like 9 or 10 p.m. Zoom calls.
Okay.
I've done a lot of showings. I had showings in 2021. It was a very hectic time. I had showings every single weekend for 7 months. I missed a lot of events.
Right.
I'm late to things because I can't show up because I'm with my clients.
Right.
And then when you're on vacation, it's right when everybody calls you. So I'll go to my fiance's from Minnesota, so if we fly to Minnesota for a trip, I swear as soon as I land, I'm getting all these calls. So that's really tricky to manage. Other than that, yeah, the work ethic, which I kind of trailed off on that for a little bit and talked about balance, but it's so much work. When it's busy, you have a lot on your plate and you are juggling a lot of hats because you're the person doing the marketing, right. You're running your financials because you're running your own business. Right. You're client facing, doing the sales. Yeah. So it's a lot of different pieces and there's not enough time in the day to get it all done. And then, working weekends is like even 7 years in, it's still really hard for me to wrap my head around because everyone else has a regular job and they get to unwind on the weekends. Yeah. And that's not what I get to do. That's not what you get to do. I have to get up and go to showings, go to open houses, go to inspections, which take hours. Right. So it's just a lot of grind. Okay. But it's so worth it. Once you get that momentum, your life does start to feel a little bit more balanced. It's just you have to take advantage of the moments, like the slow moments when they come. You don't get to like plan it out.
So when you
I don't know if that made any sense.
So when you say it's so worth it,
yeah,
is it the work is worth it? Is it the money is worth it?
Both.
Is it the Is it the I don't know if there's any flexibility in your schedule.
There is.
Okay,
so I'm here with you today, right. In the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Is it Monday?
Yeah, it's Monday. Okay.
Yeah, so
in the middle of the week because you work the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I definitely have a lot of flexibility. I love that. Like, I have a dentist appointment in the middle of the day tomorrow, so that's nice. So there is flexibility to an extent. Yeah. I have way more flexibility during the week than most. Right. But then my work gets in the way in the moments that I don't want it to. Right. But it is
because you have no control over when it's going to get.
Right. And it's all the worst part, and then I'll get back to what I was saying, is how last minute it can be. Yeah. On a Friday night. If I have plans Saturday morning, Friday night at 7 p.m. a client can text me and want to see something the next day. Right. And then I'm scrambling to get it done and rearrange my whole day. So it can be tough, but again, I said it was worth it. There's no better feeling than helping someone through this process to me. Yeah. I love working with people, getting to know them, and then helping them like with this huge milestone. Right. It can be a whirlwind going through escrow, but I think I bring a really great calming presence to my clients, and I try to be the best guide that I can be and make it as, like I said, as calm as possible. Yeah. And giving them keys on closing day is such a cool feeling. It's just like really, really amazing.
It's really tangible too. It's really concrete.
It's just really, and then to talk to them over the years, like I just now had a client who bought in 2020, they want to sell. Okay. And it's my first buyer to turn around and sell. So that's a big deal. Right. And I met them at an open house in 2019. Right. So I was just with them over the weekend doing listing photos. And it was just such a cool thing to be in their home and see like the space they've created. And now they want to like upsize and get a bigger home. It's just a really cool feeling. And I really adore everybody I work with. They like all become friends. Right. So it's so rewarding. And then like also the finance. Yeah. Or the financials. The pay is great. Okay. When it is great, it's great.
When you sell something, it's a decent chunk.
I feel very financially secure, and that's like always been a big thing for me. Right. If I never made more than I have in the past few years, if I never surpassed this, I would be more than comfortable. Right. And I always had I wanted to make a decent living, but I didn't need a lot, and I've made more than I've ever expected. Okay. Which is so great. Cool. Yeah. And I feel really safe. Yeah. And I can handle anything that comes my way. Right. For now. Right. So yeah, I would say that it's rewarding for the client side of things, and then the financial stability is amazing. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah. And then you're doing first-time buyers too, so it's like. One, the reward there must be really nice because it's like, their first home, so that's pretty Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I work with everybody. It doesn't have to be a
Right.
first-time home buyer, but I look back on my business most of the time, and the
okay.
majority, like
Okay.
I'd say 80%,
Right.
are first-time home buyers. But it's really cool. And then I bought my own home in 2021,
Yeah.
and so going through it myself was so helpful. And now I feel like I can reference that
Right.
with my clients. And
Which a lot of people your age, by the way, have not done yet, right?
I know.
So that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a last-minute, spur-of-the-moment decision.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm very happy I did. I bought a little condo in Long Beach.
Great.
And we've been there like 2 years now.
Awesome.
And it was the best decision ever. Highly recommend.
Okay. And if you're looking,
If you're looking, sell with Racquel.
So let me ask you then, though, about the balance thing. Do you think you're able to have work-life balance? And if so, like, how are you managing that given the demands that this particular career has?
I don't know how I'm managing it. I think when it's slow,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really great at it. So I just had a closing, and I don't have anybody else actively looking right now. I have a lot of people getting ready to start looking,
Right.
but I don't have a ton going on right now. And so right now I feel very balanced. I have a ton of time to do laundry and things around the house and personal life and wedding planning. I'm doing a lot of that.
Right.
But if I look back to my really busy moments, like for example, early 2022, I think I was writing, there was one day I wrote 6 offers in one night.
Wow.
And that's a lot of different clients to juggle when they all want to have a conference call about the offer before we submit it. I don't think I was eating for
Okay.
I didn't have time for like meals or exercising.
Okay.
It was crazy. So I was looking into getting an assistant. I couldn't handle
Right.
all the work that I had. And then it slows down and it's the complete opposite. So it's hard to say. I'm working on, I have a business coach, and we're working on setting boundaries for a time of day that I'll stop working.
Right.
So I think that is going to be helpful.
That's hard with real estate, though, right? Because it's like, we got to get the offer in today. And
Yeah,
then
I think if it's an offer, I'll let it go.
Right. Okay.
But I'm working on, like, if it's
The other
past
stuff.
7 p.m., I don't have to rush to your text.
Right.
I'm a very responsive person. If you text me at 9:30 at night, I'll answer you in 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you text me at 6 a.m., I'll answer you in 30
Oh,
seconds.
gosh.
So I need to kind of probably relax on that.
Right.
And
I
set.
have probably all my students are thinking, yeah, I wish Professor Klein would respond to his emails that quickly.
Wouldn't recommend. I'm like, sometimes I'll be like cooking dinner and trying to have like a nice night, and then someone will text me and I drop everything and my dinner's burning.
Okay.
So I should work on that.
Yes. That sounds like
and I've
something
been
to work
better. I'd say the last year I've been really good at like, if it's not urgent, it can wait.
on. Right.
But it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're working on the work-life balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Working on it.
That's a project. And then I guess the other question I have is so what does success look like for you? And then also, like, how do you think this is going to play forward? Like, what's next, or what do you think it's going to look like going forward?
Success to me has always looked like financial stability. My parents didn't make a ton while I was growing up, and we always were in rentals.
Right.
And I see my sister and her husband trying to make a living in Newport Beach with 2 kids, and the financial piece is so important to me. Like, I always want to feel how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
That I have, savings if anything was to happen, or like I have a home that I own.
Yeah.
A landlord can't tell me that they're gonna sell tomorrow and sell my home. So financial stability has always been a big piece. If I continue to make the amount that I'm making today, I think I'll feel successful.
Right.
Obviously, I shouldn't. I should set goals to do better than I am now. I should always strive to get better. But I would really be content for the rest of my life if I made this amount. I don't need much. I just want to feel safe and secure.
Right.
So that's a big thing for me. And then, what was your other question?
I think it was about going. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next? I think that every year I'm just trying to do a little bit more in sales volume and transactions, and probably not a little bit more. I'm trying to double it every year.
Okay.
Which has been hard to do this year. I've had a great year, but I'm not close to my goal.
Interest rates going
Yeah,
up, and
it's been hard to navigate.
Not a lot of inventory.
Yeah, I've done a lot of transactions, but the sales volume is not where I wanted it to be, but it's fine. So I think just continuing to try to do more and more sales each year, and then eventually maybe have a team of my own and branch off and do that. Yeah.
And I'm imagining, right, that it's like there will be cycles. There'll be cycles where, and there may be cycles where it's going to go down, and it may be down for a little bit, but everything will always come back up, right? And I'm imagining some people it's going to go down, and they're just, I'm out. But
yes, we're seeing that a lot.
But some people just stay with it because they know it's going to come back eventually. Yeah,
I have a lot of friends in the business who haven't done sales in like 6 or 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
So I've just, even if I haven't hit my goals, I'm feeling so fortunate that I've had consistent business this year.
Yeah.
So I'm upset that I haven't hit my goal yet, but I have the rest of the year to do that. But yeah, again, feeling fortunate that I've done the business that I have this year.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then you said possibly creating your own team.
Yeah, I could see that down the line.
I'm imagining you would run it similar to the way that Annie's running it and not try to lock everyone in. And
Correct.
Yeah.
I think I'd want to be really generous with the split that I give everyone just to entice them to want to be on the team, as opposed to going out on their own. And then, giving them more flexibility to do their own thing, because I think that's the best way to run a team, exactly how Annie's been doing it. I'm so happy. I didn't think I would want to be on a team this long, but again, I think I'm 4.5 years into it now, and I have no desire to leave. I don't know when I'll want to make my own team.
Sure.
Probably, it's so tough to say, because I'm thinking about like, how am I going to do this job with kids one day?
Right.
So thinking about starting a family and having kids and juggling this business and then building a team sounds a little intense. So I might wait until after that to build a team.
Right.
But yeah, that's naturally the next step would be to go off on my own, create my own team one day.
So that's fantastic. And it sounds like you're happy with what you do, and you found a really good thing, and you don't regret not going into finance at all.
I don't regret it. I'm very happy. It's crazy. I never thought that I'd be here. I really thought I was going to get like a standard 9-to-5 job, but I am so happy with how things have worked out. I'm excited for the future.
I mean, it's interesting. I think that, again, so for people that are currently students, if you're listening, it's just like, again, it's that thing where it's just like, it's not like there's a path and you've chosen it and this is what I'm majoring in, this is what I'm going to do, and I have to get that particular thing, and it's got to do that, and that's where I'm going to end up. It's like life, it's always like a flow, right?
It is.
And you run into something, and it could be completely different, and it could be the perfect thing for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I never expected to be in real estate, or if that builder didn't suggest to me to get my license, it would have never happened.
Yeah.
I think I was looking to be like a project manager or something at the time. So,
That's great.
Yeah, just go with the flow and see where life takes you.
See where it takes you, and be open to opportunities, and have a good work ethic, and develop your people skills.
Yes.
Those
are my points.
Okay, awesome. Well, Racquel, thank you so very much. I really appreciate your taking the time to come and talk to me today, and give your insights for my listeners, and hopefully it'll help them think about some opportunities that might be there for them as well.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And if anyone is looking for an agent, if you're buying.
Yeah, if you're renting or buying or selling, I'd love to help you. If you want to find me on Instagram, shameless plug.
Yeah, please.
I'm at Sell with Racquel, and my name is Racquel.
All right, excellent. That's perfect. All right, thank you so much, Racquel. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us today at Beyond the Beach. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And if you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And for those of you who want to go the extra mile, please consider leaving a review or comment. I'd love to know what you think. Thank you.